The brand police. That's what Londoners are talking about at the moment, as well as a few other things, obviously. As the Olympics come up, it seems that what you wear, who's wearing it, who's sponsoring it is very important. Sam Mamudi from MarketWatch, sports columnist at MarketWatch, here to talk about this. What's going on?
Well, there was a minor controversy last week when Sebastian Coe, who's
the Olympian long-distance runner, but he was also
the chair of the organising committee. Right. And I think he perhaps misspoke, but he suggested if you were wearing a Pepsi t-shirt and you try to go watch some of the events, you would get thrown out. Coca-Cola obviously being one of the Olympics' big sponsors. Right. And I think the issue is that in the UK and beyond, it kind of suggests that these games are very much about the sponsors as much as the athletes or us watching at home.
And it's kind of unseemly to the average person who obviously has a much more romantic view of what sports are all about, right?
Yeah, especially the Olympics. I think because they were very much an amateur sport, they were all about competitive spirit. You know, they have the Olympic Charter. And really, I defy you for the next 2 weeks to watch anything to do with the Olympics that is not going to be sodden in logos.
Right. Well, that's the point. I mean, as well, we're talking purely here about the sponsors. This is the London Organising Committee and the sponsors they have to obviously bankroll this enormous cost they have been putting on the games. But players are allowed to carry the logos, are they not, of their own individual sponsors, correct?
You can, except for just before, during and just after the games. Okay. You can't be in any advertising or do any marketing if you're if you're a Nike athlete. Adidas are the big sponsors.
But you can wear Nike shoes.
You can wear Nike shoes, but you're not going to see any Nike ads with any Olympic athletes going to be on, and that's kind of unprecedented. You know, when you think about it, if the Super Bowl's on and Peyton Manning's in it, we're going to be flooded with Peyton Manning ads for every single product he can get his hands on and endorse. But that's a weird thing of harking back to the amateur ideal, but at the same time serving the people who pay about $1 billion every 4 years.
Right, right. So yes, it's kind of like trying to have your cake and eat it too, perhaps.
They are having their cake.
They are indeed eating a lot of it, perhaps. But the some other stories. I read something the other day about some butcher who had put the rings in the shape of sausages or something like this, and got told to bring that down.
Yes, absolutely. And there was my favourite story was an 81-year-old lady who was she knitted a tiny doll about this big, and on it said London Games, and it had the rings on it. And she got told, don't sell that. She was hoping to raise £1 for charity by selling it at an auction. Wow! And she was told not to.
So the Coca-Cola London Games seem to be overwhelmed this. But what's behind this originally? I mean, it obviously is. Protecting intellectual property is seen as an important way to guarantee to their sponsors that they'll get the most out of this, right? What's the thinking behind it?
Yeah, not to be too cynical, it's you want to protect your sponsors' rights. And what we're seeing is, because these games are every 2 years, obviously you have the winter ones as well, every time I think what happens is the IOC look back and say, okay, well there was a loophole we needed to close, that was something we needed to do. And so it's like they're learning every time, and they have the time to say, how can we best look after our sponsors, which is great for the sponsors, and it means, you know, Happy Meals are going to be readily available, but where it actually fits in with the sporting ideal and the idea of a housewife winning fencing, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.